I'm a resident of Belle Harbor. That's the section of the Rockaway Peninsula that we live in.
I've lived in Rockaway my whole life.
I'm on this earth 71 years, and I have spent 69 of it in this house.
If I live in the same house that my mother grew up in, we've never moved.
This has always been a beautiful, beautiful community. One where you felt safe raising children, so it was considered a very safe neighborhood, very nice neighborhood for living and raising a family.
The town was, your typical Irish beach town. Everyone travels around on bicycle. The skateboard park and people playing basketball or handball out by the beach.
24 years in the military. Started off in the Marine Corps. Completed my career as the operations in CIC for 42nd Infantry Division headquarters, and worked 7 weeks. Hurricane Sandy.
Hurricanes have been forecast and come here for years. The magnitude of this was different. It was much different than any of the previous ones. In 1960, we had Hurricane Donna hit the peninsula, and the bay did meet the ocean then too. But this storm was more violent.
We were not prepared to deal with the scale of the storm, of how many people it impacted. I think the tidal surge caught everybody off guard.
The basement door had been slammed in off the hinges.
I went out on the back deck and I saw the water rising above my car.
And the water was just pouring in like a waterfall.
It was a matter of maybe a minute that it went from 2 feet outside to 8 feet in the house.
My grandmother, who we had tried to get to come upstairs at least earlier in the day, she couldn't stay in the house anymore because it was coming to the first floor. So my mother called me and I had to go downstairs and meet them. And at that point the water was about up to my waist when I was coming down the stairs. And I met them on our porch and we took my grandmother, who can barely walk as it is, down the stairs. And the whole time, my mother on one side, me on the other, trying to basically carry her through the water, which had raised up to my waist at that point. My grandmother kept stopping, screaming that she was going to drown, that she was going to fall. We were screaming for help, and one of our neighbors from a few doors down came out of his house and swam over to us and helped us get my grandmother the rest of the way up to my steps, and we brought her all the way upstairs.
The worst part, I think, for us was you could smell fire in the neighborhood. You could smell it, but you didn't know where it was coming from, and there was no way to get out. There were no cars. Every car was underwater. So you had to stay here. And we went up to the second floor and looked out the windows, and on either side of us was tremendous fires. We basically stayed up all night watching outside the windows to make sure the flames weren't coming any closer to us. That was the scariest part. I guess the aftermath, the next morning, seeing the damage that it did, it was tremendous.
The Rockaways looked like a complete war zone.
8 blocks from here, 24 homes and a huge restaurant were burning to the ground. And in Breezy Point, 111 homes burned to the ground.
The town, I would compare it to a third world country, the way it looked. And it was just a lot of devastation.
Pieces of houses were piled up in the street. On this particular block, the last house on the ocean went out to sea.
A lot of emergency services shut down at the height of the storm.
We had absolutely no services. We had no heat, no hot water, no electric, no stores, no gas stations, no libraries, no banks, nothing. They're not even all open now. There were a number of volunteers that came after a week or so.
The churches opened up and had people there to donate and give out food to whoever needed it.
The absolute best department in the entire city is sanitation. Those guys work 24 hours a day trying to clean the rubble out of the street, because picture the contents of your house going out to the curb. It's a massive amount of garbage when you think about it, and it's not a safe situation. So sanitation was absolutely the best.
As far as response planning goes, obviously Sandy was a huge wake-up call for us on the East Coast. But I think on a larger planning scale, I think people really have got to reconsider if they're going to rebuild on the coast, how they rebuild.
What we honestly need, the most important thing down here, is the Army Corps of Engineers to come in here and start building seawalls so that this doesn't happen again. Because the people that are here are taking a very big chance. You'll never get as much insurance money as you need to rebuild. I know that myself from personal experience.
It's really about finding the right people and getting enough volunteers and stuff to help rebuild. Some houses are well on their way, and some houses haven't even started in the rebuilding process yet. So, I would, hopefully a few more months, but it could be a couple of years before some people get back.
We're all happy we're alive.
The community as a whole has really come together.
Everyone meets each other on the street now. They give each other hugs.
I think that they're stronger.
We were all taking care of each other. Everybody cared about it. That's the important thing, I think, that it brought a community even closer together.
They tell you to evacuate. Evacuate.
If you love your home and you love your family, that's where you want to be.